A clear understanding is self-awareness. That includes your personality and behavior, your strengths and weaknesses, your beliefs and motivations. And self-awareness is the beginning of the life that you want. The journey of becoming self-aware transforms the way you think and feel, boosting your emotional intelligence. From there, you can easily pinpoint your passions, take control of your actions, and make the necessary changes to get the outcomes you desire. What's more, it becomes easier to understand other people and how they perceive you in return. So, what you should keep in mind is that self-awareness makes you the master of your own future, which means a happier and more successful life. Self-awareness is crucial to pretty much everything. You're a leader. Self-awareness shapes a strong character with the ability to lead with purpose, trust, and consideration, a creator of a more supportive business culture. If you're a social worker, you have to be aware of your own biases when dealing with clients so that you treat everyone equally. Self-awareness is also an essential part of counseling or nursing. You can even find it at school. When teachers work with students to train them to reflect and evaluate themselves, students become more self-reliant, productive, and flexible. Did you see how important self-awareness truly is? Then let me tell you how you can become a more self-aware version of you. 1. Look at yourself objectively by performing daily self-reflection. Trying to see your real self can be a very difficult process, but it can also be extremely rewarding. That's how you learn to accept and improve yourself in the future. So, what is an easy way to get started with this? First, write out the things that you're good at, that you need to improve, and the things that you're most proud of. Also, think about your childhood and what made you happy back then. What changed and why? Finally, set aside some time to honestly look at yourself as a person and a leader. If possible, do it daily. In our demanding business world, daily self-reflection is easier said than done, but committing to just 15 minutes in a quiet place every day already makes a world of difference. Self-reflection is most effective with the help of a little tool, and that is 2. Keep a journal. Grab a journal and write anything. When you put your thoughts down on paper, your mind becomes clearer and more open to new information and ideas. Every night, write in your journal your feelings, successes, and failures of the day. This will help you grow and move forward in your achievements. As you self-reflect, ask yourself, can I do more to help the people around me? What are my values? What is most important to me right now? 3. Practice meditation and other mindfulness habits. Meditation is the practice of improving your mindful awareness. It's a moment of peaceful reflection that will help you find greater clarity. During your meditations, you may come up with questions like, what is your goal? What are you doing that is working? What are you doing that is holding you back? How can you change your process for the better? Most types of meditation focus on the breath, but it doesn't have to be formal. You're already meditating when carrying out everyday tasks that give you a sense of serenity, such as washing dishes, going for a run, or going to church. 4. Take personality and psychometric tests. Personality and psychometric tests, such as the Myers-Briggs test or the predictive index, help you understand what traits you have. And hey, there's no right or wrong solutions to these tests. Instead, your answers will show you a set of characteristics that closely describe you relative to other people. 5. Ask for feedback at home and at work. How are we supposed to know what other people think of us? We have to listen to the observations of our peers and mentors and let them play the role of an honest mirror. Tell your friends you're looking for open and critical perspectives. Make sure they know that they are helping, not hurting you. Allow them to feel safe to confess their views. Share your concerns about your behavior and ask friends to warn you when your bad habits roll up. For example, if you know you tend to one-up people when they're telling stories, have your friends discreetly let you know so you can stop. At work, get feedback. If your company doesn't provide a formal way to do this, try to implement one. A constructive and well-done feedback allows us to self-reflect on our own rights and wrongs. Once it's done, write down your main takeaways, any surprising strengths and weaknesses that you did not realize you had before. So, what do you think? Can you commit to at least a couple of those habits? Yes, this process takes time and effort. Self-discovery may take years and input from many people around you, but this journey shows you a whole new perspective on life. Besides, these habits can effectively improve your relationship with yourself and others. Well, how do you really see yourself? How do you become a self-aware person? Feel free to share your own tips and breakthroughs in the comments down below. Our channel is here to inspire you to find a happier and more rewarding life. So why not subscribe? For more helpful resources, stop by the full article on our website as well. The link is right there in the description box. Thank you for watching and see you again soon.
Thank you for that. Anita, can we please have the slide? So just a bit of reflection on that. I know because of time, what I would have really liked to is to have a bit of discussion on what we've just looked at. But let's just highlight the key points, which we've just looked at. So if we go into the slides and we highlight the key points, just waiting for the slides. Okay, so while we're waiting for the slides, thank you. So the first thing we said was in those key points was, how can you practice self-awareness? So look at yourself objectively. What does that mean? Write down things that are good, things that are not even good, so that you do not do well, things that we're proud of, and then we can take a stock of those things. Think about your childhood. When we were children, there were things we wanted to be. Some people say, I wanted to be this, I wanted to be a doctor, I wanted to be a nurse, I wanted to be, it doesn't matter. We can still go back. What are those things that made us happy? Then, can we change them? Can we change the way we are now? Is everything okay? Should I go on? I can see people standing. Samuji? Should I continue? I see there's a lot of people moving around. Or do you want me to stop? Okay. Okay. So should I still continue? Should I continue?
Yeah, the sector general just walked in, and so
okay.
So it's also missed. We can go ahead with the training. Thank you very much.
Just give me a cue of when to continue. Should I continue?
You can go ahead.
Okay. You're very welcome, sir. I heard you just came in, sir, so we really welcome you. And thank you for joining us. Okay, so we're just going through the key points that we talked about in self-awareness from the video we just watched. So we're saying, look at yourself as a person and as a leader, if possible. Do it daily, 15 minutes, a day. Just self-reflect. Look at the good things you've done, the good things that you haven't done, the things you want to achieve. It does not matter. Still reflect on them, because by so doing, by thinking and reflecting, you can begin to think, how can you be a better person so that you can be more productive in your work, so that you can be more productive with your relationships. Can we have the next slide, please, Anita? Okay, has it gone through? Okay, thank you. So the second point that was mentioned is keep a journal of all the above self-reflection. So we've talked about you reflecting, but what you're reflecting on, write it down. So it could be, what happened at work today? Why was I stressed at work today? How could I have handled that situation better? How could I have dealt with that situation? Did I have to get angry? again, it's about writing those things down and taking stock, so put your thoughts down on paper. Your mind becomes clearer when you write things down. You are more open to information and ideas. So information that come at work that you are being given, maybe instructions about the highway, maybe instructions about maybe people using mobile phones, maybe instructions about seat belts. Learn to take those instructions down, write the information down, put down ideas, put down your feelings, put down your successes and your failures. It's all about being aware of who you are, because the more you know who you are, the more you can relate with your colleagues, the more you can relate with your managers, the more you can relate with your superior and be a better person. It says, do more for people around me. Reflect, ask yourself on a daily basis, how can I do more? How can I be more helpful? When I go out and I'm on the road, how can I manage the safety of the road? What are my values? What are important to me? All those things that are important to us, they always come out and they always reflect in our workplace. So again, is my job important to me? What is my job not important to me? How can I make my job more important to me? How can I give more of myself at my job? Where there's so many mission statements that we have in my workplace, regulating the use of motorcycles or highway, regulating mobile phones on motorists. How can I be more impactful with those missions that we have as an organization? Next slide, please. Again, it's about journaling all those information. So practice meditation over mindfulness habits. So we looked at that also in the video. Meditation is the practice of improving your mindful awareness. It's just really thinking about your thoughts, capturing your thoughts, being mindful of what you're thinking, especially when we're thinking. There's no way we can be thinking negative thoughts and be productive at work. Let's be true to ourselves. There's no way we can, have all those things that are bottling up in our spirit and really be productive at work. So it's capturing those works and those thoughts and being present wherever it is that we are at work, being reflective for greater clarity. We've touched on that a bit in the last slide. Ask questions. What are my goals in life? What are my goals in my workplace? What are my, what do I want to achieve in this position I am? How do I move on to the next level? How do I make myself a better person? Those are all the things that you think of when you're meditating. And remember, because it's really to do with your work as a road safety cop, so we'll relate it to that as much as possible. Going for a walk, even when, after work, is there any way you distress? Is there any way you take care of yourself? Even if it's 5 minutes, even if it's 10 minutes, how was work today? Listening to music if you can, focusing on those thoughts and capturing those thoughts. Some people, if depending on your faith, you can address your faith. Your faith is a place that allows you to also meditate. But it's always very good to meditate. And if you can, listen to meditation music that will just calm your spirit. These are also little ways in which you can deal with stress, which my colleague is going to be talking a lot more about. Next slide, please, Anita. Thank you. So take personality and psychometric tests. Now this one, it's one where you would need to get involved, and it's accessible to anyone online. So I've put the free test on there. So there's the personality test, Myers-Briggs test. It just tells you your personality. It tells you things about yourself that you don't even know. You answer a few questions and it will help you to manage. You see if you have somebody that gets really angry easily. You see if you have someone that is a bit too calm. You see, it just tells you about yourself. I've had people do this test and they'll be like, wow, this thing is testing. It's like a mirror image. It tells you things you don't even know. It also helps, not only does it help you to know yourself, it also helps you to understand and have a better relationship with your colleagues. It also helps you to have a better relationship with all aspects of your life, really, even your spouse at home, your children. These tests are very, very powerful. They gives you understanding traits. It reveals characters, like I said, characters that you would not even know that is embedded into you. Maybe you are very moody, whether they are snappy. It will reveal all those kind of characters to you. But the main focus is it helps you to relate better to yourself, and it helps you relate better to other people. Okay, next slide, please, Anita. Okay, so ask for feedback. Most of us don't necessarily like to ask for feedbacks because feedbacks makes it's sort of like it could be things we don't want to hear about ourselves. But feedbacks are very good. So I'm sure you'll get feedback at work. I'm sure you might get feedback from your managers. I'm sure you might get feedback from your colleagues. those feedbacks, as long as they're coming from a positive place, don't ignore them. There are ways that you can use to improve yourself. Listen to observations of peers and mentors. If your peer tells you that you get angry too easily when you are at work, you didn't have to talk to that person like that. Try and listen. It's also to make us a better person and also part of our self-awareness journey. Feedback is an honest mirror. Let them play the role of an honest mirror. A mirror that is telling you at times some things we don't want to tell ourselves. Look out for open and critical perspective. So positive criticism is what we're talking about. And even if they are negative, they're also in a way to correct yourself, not to bring you down. Share concerns and behaviors with colleagues and maybe friends. And if there are bad habits that you do, tell somebody, once I do that bad habit, please tell me. I don't know when I do it. So tell me. Your manager can also feed back to you, or your superior can feed back to you all those habits. Take them on board. They're all part of making you a better person. So as we go on to the next slide. It's also very good to feedback on strengths and weaknesses. So if you have area of strengths, okay, I do this really well, good, improve, that's good, keep that up. But weaknesses, you're not doing well on this area, so you need to improve. So those are the kind of things that feedbacks will do for you. So based on the question we asked when we first started, those few questions that we asked, and now that you've learned a bit about self-awareness, we've given you 5 key points, which are very practical, which you can start using from today. We've given notebooks, you can start journaling. You can start asking yourself questions about yourself. You can start going for walks. You can start meditating. You can start thinking of self-care. So we haven't brought things that you need to maybe go and pay money to go and do. No, we intentionally came with, key points that you can start practicalizing from today. Who really am I? What really is my role in this job? How do my colleagues see me? How effective am I? Those are the things we really want you to begin to think about. So I said here, it's not a quick fix, what we've brought today, it's a journey. And the key information that we've put on there, they're in the leaflets that we've given you. Please do take time, go through them. The journey today and the journey of self-awareness is not really just about only work. It translates into every area. If you listen to that video, it talks about you being a successful person in life. We all want to be successful. These are tried and tested steps by people that have worked on it. I use it on a daily basis and I see the difference in my life. It's a long-term journey. You have to be intentional to be a better person. It will help in all areas of life, like I said, and it's the beginning of self-worth. When you feel worthy, when you have self-worth in yourself, you want to do better, you want to grow, because I have a vision. I'm thinking to myself, where do I want to be in the next 1 year, in the next 2 years? What do I want to do with my children? What do I want to do with my family? What do I want to do with my career? So key words that I want to leave you with is, think about my thoughts. What kind of thinking do I think? We've talked about stress, and my colleague will talk a lot more about stress management and all those. I'm focusing on you, focusing on yourself to be a better person, your behaviors, my feelings. I've used a few examples about stress, about anger, about depression, about feeling moody. How do I handle all those things, all those emotions, sadness when I'm at work? How do I can I capture those feelings and help myself not to feel them? Again, it's all about writing them down. My strengths, what do I know that I do really well? Am I a people person? Do I need to work on my people skills? My weaknesses? How do I react to situations? When I'm in my post, how do I react to people there? Is there better ways in which I can relax? We've talked about that. And my character, that's a key one. That's a key one. And the minute we can begin to journal all these things down and go through them and reflect on them and meditate on them. And I round up with the quote, William James: act as if what you do makes a difference, because it does. Every day you stand in your post, every day you come to work, you might not think it does, but I want to encourage you. Be determined to make a difference. Be determined to make an impact, and be determined to make a legacy. It doesn't always have to be, legacy doesn't have to be, we have to do one big thing. Even if it's just helping someone in your post a day, that is something. You've made a legacy in someone's life. So that's just my session on self-awareness. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you've picked one or two things that you can do even from today and start to use. God bless you. And thank you for having us once again. We really appreciate you. And thank you, sir, for joining us. It's an honor to have you. Over to you, Anita.
Thank you so much, Sister Ronke. This is wonderful. Again, it is truly an honor and a privilege to be here today to bring you this training. So I'm not going to belay the time. I'm going to continue where Sister Ronke left off. Now we're going to look at relationships, the relationship of you and everyone else. Here are several relationship types that we're most familiar with. Our relationship to our career, our friends, society, family, and yes, money. There is a relationship with money. I hope your relationship with money is not the thing that you build everything else on. We'll talk about that a little bit further. Just as we had questions on the self-awareness part, these questions I want you to look at and take a moment and just be aware of what you think about yourself in these questions. Do I tend to focus on the positive or negative traits of others? What traits in others bother me? Do I find it difficult to admit when I'm wrong? Take a moment, make some notes on these three questions. It's important that we're not only self-aware of ourselves, but ourselves in relationship to others and how that affects our behavior, our mindset, our attitudes, our values. What impacts those things, whether positive or negative, can be seen in our relationship with others. Take a look at these 6 stress management techniques. Time management, healthy diet, sleep, physical exercise and fresh air, positivity, special days with family and friends. Now you see the clock to the right and you're probably saying, why is that there? What is that in relationship to these particular techniques here on the screen? Time impacts all of them. How much time and effort do you spend in managing your time? The 24 hours that's given to you every day. It's not some days you get 20 or 10. You always have the same amount of time. How do you value and approach the time that's given to you? Make a note about that. On a scale to 1 to 5, how well do you manage your time? When you don't manage it well, what happens to your stress level? Healthy diet. How much time and effort do you put in having a quality diet, something that adds value to your body, to your mind, and your spirit? Are you always doing fast food? What are the behaviors around your eating habits? Are they ones that keep you stressed out and you tend to stress eat? You want to take a look at that. Scale to 1 to 5. How well do you manage the stress concerning your diet? And then there's sleep. When the body does not get ample rest or the rest that it needs so that on the new day, you can engage fully focused, what's the impact of that? Where does your stress level go when you're sleep deprived? Physical exercise and fresh air. How much time do you put into your physical exercise and getting fresh air? Did you know that breathing, when not done properly, you're really cutting off the oxygen that's being available to your body and to your mind? Take a moment and put your hands on your chest and take a couple of breaths. Does your chest rise or does your stomach move out? If you're breathing from your chest, you are not getting adequate air supply. Breathing techniques are also available via Google, or you can get an app for breathing techniques. You will notice the difference when you're not breathing from your chest, when you're breathing from your abdomen. Your abdomen should go out when you inhale. And you're thinking, wow, that's just an opposite. Exactly. Your stomach should expand out and you're getting a good breath. How much time do you spend in a positive mindset, a positive attitude? Or are you grumpy all day? Take a look at that. Has anyone ever approached you and said, you're a bit grumpy. What's wrong with you? You think that you're fine. Your facial expressions, your body language are all speaking to the people that you are around, especially if you're sleep deprived. There's not too much positivity going on. And I will most likely feel that if you're trying to drink coffee to get the caffeine to stay awake, somewhere it's going to crash. And that positivity is going to diminish. And then you're operating from empty. How much time do you take off for special days with family and friends? Besides birthdays, besides the holidays, do you take intentional time for family and friends or just for yourself? Rate these from 1 to 5. These questions were the same questions that you looked at the very beginning of this presentation. Now I want you to look at them. Do you have a better view of yourself? Just with the information that we've shared for self-awareness and these stress management tips and techniques, and you ranked yourself, how much of that was below 3? How much of it was above 5? And even if you were sitting right there at 4, did you learn something about your self-awareness of yourself and your relationships? How you look to yourself and others? 2, am I better equipped to listen for the message and not just the words? When someone's speaking to you, are you the one that's quick to give a response? Do you engage in conversation with someone non-verbally? Do you nod your head when they're speaking to let them know that you hear and you're understanding the words coming out of their mouth? Are you interested in what they're saying? Or are you just trying to get it and go? Can I be more authentic? Can I be more authentic? Can you be more you, or are you constantly wearing a mask? Are you always putting on airs? Are you trying to be something that you're not because you want to impress? Can I be more of me? And if you answer that, I can be more, good for you, because more of you is what the world needs, the authentic you. Will I practice one self-care habit, something that I've learned today, from the breathing technique to quiet meditation, exercising more, making sure that I'm getting the ample sleep, like I'm going to go to bed tonight at 10 versus staying up binge watching till midnight. What self-care habit can you implement today and start making that change? Will I focus more on what I can control and not what I can't? Because when your focus is not aligned with your priorities, you're distracted, you're all over the place, you don't speak very clearly. So therefore, the people listening to your message are trying to figure out, what are you talking about? And when you focus on the things you can't control, then your priorities are now misaligned. And you won't be as productive as you can be. So rank those questions now based on the information that you've received today. I'd like to take the time now, and are there any questions? Comments? Okay, well, this is wonderful. The type of work that you do, I'm sorry, someone had a question or comment?
Yes, I wanted to check if we have someone that has questions. Just give me a second.
Okay.
Do we have anyone that has questions from all that has been said? Do we have questions, or you would like to ask the questions at the end? Do we have questions that you would like to be answered? Do you have? Okay, unless there's anyone who wants to round off, we'll start asking your question. Is that okay?
There are no questions? That's great. That's great. So I will just
We'll ask probably at the end. So I'll just probably share a piece of paper around for questions.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry? Yeah, we've come to the end of the slide, and we just want to take questions so that we'll be able to address all the issues that I have touched on today. So I will start asking the first piece of paper for you to ask your questions, and I can direct the questions to her. Hello, everyone. Please know that you have access to the slide after. I've shared it with the students, so she's going to share the slide with all of you. So, or you can ask your questions so that she can be able to address the questions before we round up. How many papers, how many questions do you have? Hi, can you hear me? Yes, sir, can you hear me? Yes, sir, can you hear me? Okay, so I'd like to ask the first question. It says, how do you marry your relationship with your work? So how do you link your relationship with your work? I don't know the relationship, but probably all other relationships that we might have, and how can you link that with your work?
Relationships that you have work, are you talking about peer relationships, your colleagues, or are you talking about the relationships you have in the community, the people that you serve or have influence with? Because how you engage in those relationships makes a difference and how you speak to those relationships. So let's just say it's a peer relationship. You have a partner maybe that you are with during the day. You want to make sure that you have the right boundaries. You want to make sure that there is trust. You want to take the time and build relationships with the people that you work closely with. Because when you need them, you want to know that they will be there for you. Is there any stress or strain between you and those individuals that you work with? You want to eliminate that. You want to make sure that there's nothing keeping you from being effective on the job when you are especially out serving the community. Does that answer the question?
So I was actually referring to his relationship with his family. So how is he able to manage both relationship with family and work?
There needs to be, again, boundaries and a balance. You need to make sure that your job doesn't interfere with family time. Now, in times like these, that's almost impossible, especially when work requires you to work more hours. That normally would be time spent with family or time for yourself. You must be clear on what's happening and you must communicate with your family. It is important. Just like the work relationships, those same things must have time to build trust with your family, to know that you're providing for your family, and to let them know that they're not being neglected. When there is understanding, when there is clarity, family members become your biggest cheerleaders. I know that personally. because my job requires me to work different hours of the day that are outside of the time zone that I live in. That can be a strain when that's day after day after day. You must have boundaries and you must be intentional. When I talked about the time, you must give ample time to those that support you as well as to yourself, because without you, there is no relationship with those people. And again, with your work, with your peers at the job. Boundaries and communication are key for healthy relationships.
Okay, thank you very much, Aleta, for shedding more light on that question. So the next question is, we'll need you to please elaborate on mindfulness and habits. And they also need a bit elaboration on self-awareness. Can you shed more light on self-awareness and mindfulness and habits?
Sister Ruke, are you're still here? You want to take that question?
Yes, I can. Sorry, I've got a bit of problem with my video, but if you can hear me clearly, that's fine. So can I just be clear on the question? So you're asking about mindfulness. It's not very clear when we're listening here.
So they're asking about mindfulness and habits, and also on self-awareness.
Mindfulness and what, sorry?
Habits.
Habits, right, okay. So that's why what we gave were practical. So remember when we were going through the sessions, what we gave were practical things that you can do to help you with being mindful. So by journaling, so remember that the second key, so there's the first key, which is taking time to reflect. You will be amazed that quite a lot of us do not take time out to reflect. So what we do when we sit down is, it's either we're thinking of work, we're thinking of our family, we're thinking of the engagement we have on Saturday, or the wedding we have on Sunday morning, or the clothes that needs to be sewn on our children's clothes. It's taking those thoughts and trying to not focus on those thoughts, but thinking of things like, okay, so today, what are my thoughts today? I'm thinking I have a lot to do. So why do I have a lot to do? Is there a way I can take those things that I need to do and put them down one by one? Now, when you look at our habits, so your habits could be maybe in the morning, the first thing you do in the morning is you get your phone and you go on Instagram or you go on WhatsApp. So once that I know that that's an habit, journaling says write it down. So when I write it down, I think to myself, I don't want to do that in the morning. What is something that will be productive that I can do in the morning if going on WhatsApp is not a productive thing for you? So again, it's recognizing those habits, writing them down. Remember, we said that writing them down makes it very clear. Taking those habits and thinking, are they positive? Are they productive? If they're not, what can I replace those habits with? So those are practical examples of how we can look at our habits, look at our thoughts, create awareness. And that's also being very mindful. Mindful is saying, I am being mindful. I am taking care of my mind. I'm bringing my consciousness into what I am doing. I am minding what I'm doing. That's really just what it is. So those are practical examples of things that we can begin to do. I hope that's helped.
Thank you very much, okay. So this last question is very, very important. It says, in a workplace environment like ours, physical exercise, sleep, and hanging out with friends and family is almost alien to us. What can we do to balance this reality? Aneta?
Can you repeat that again? It was a little fuzzy.
In a workplace environment like ours, physical exercise, sleep, and hanging out with friends and family is almost alien to us. What can we do to balance this reality?
What you're talking about, the balance of friends and work.
Okay, so what I'm saying is they don't have the opportunity, they hardly have the opportunity to have physical exercise, have sufficient sleep, hang out with friends and family. So what can they do to balance their reality?
Balancing the reality. Oh, I see what you're saying. It's like, oh, exercise is not part of my reality. Being with family and having that time, that quality time is not a reality. That's true. We live in a reality that says there is no time, but there again, we all get the 24 hours and it goes with our priorities. Even with work, there's exercise that you can even do. Getting up, walking around the workplace, walking in the parking lot, breathing, meditation. If you can't physically do something, actual journaling, as Sister Ronke explained, journaling lets you write it down and make it plain. And then the reality says you must make a decision because you cannot keep running on empty. The body will shut down. So you either decide what's more important, find the people that can help support that decision. Communication is also key. We live in a world that wants to take and take and take. I suffered myself with that reality. But the reality also came to me and said, continue and you will not last. So it is prioritizing and making the hard decisions based on what you need to be your best you. I hope I answered that. Some exercise is better than no exercise. 30 minutes of walking is better than a day of watching a video about exercise or thinking about it. You've got to put it into action, and it's by any means necessary. You're just that important. You really are.
Okay, Anita, thank you very much. That is probably our last question for today. So we'll have to take a closing remark. And the closing remark is going to be taken by Officer Olodu Adebola.
I just want to say one thing. Respect to the workshop that just happened. Just listen to discovering ourselves. While listening to the facilitator talk, I want to sum up the whole piece into just a particular, I'll say 2 words. It's about knowing ourselves. When you know yourself, it's just a short direct path to self-discovery. Knowing yourself means being yourself, not living your life imitating others. Not allowing other people's emotions determine the way you think, the way you perceive. the way you judge things. And that's why I want to take this from the word of Socrates. When he says that man know herself. Knowing yourself means you have to seek for knowledge. You need to know your weakness. You need to know your strength. And I want to believe that at the end of this workshop, a lot of us will go out more equipped, more blessed. That is why at this point, I want to equally say that it will enhance productivity, because while we were going through this lecture, we were talking about some questions we need to take about stress management. And other three questions that was asked about focusing on the positive traits and the negative traits of people. Which one of it do you emphasize on? And for me, I answered right when I said I focus more on the positive aspect of people, especially when it has to working within some group of individuals, that is a team, to achieve a common goal. And sometimes I equally dwell on the negative. And why do I have to dwell on the negative? Because I will not want the negative trait of one individual to affect the pursuit of the common goal. And the second one is, how does this negative trait affect? In the midst of one or two people, three people, as a team, when we all have a positive thought towards actually achieving a goal, and one person knows a negative thought, we need to convince that person to be in tune with what our pursuit is all about. And lastly, about stress management. Time management, score 1 to 5, I give myself 4, because you are stressed when you allow the table to be filled with boxes. Now, place of work, we must ensure that our boxes are cleared. When you leave chores done, it mounts more pressure on you, and the level of productivity is reduced. At the time of our health, I need to ask that question, but I totally kept it. In this time of our top economic crisis, even what we have as the economic power in our hands, and not actually get what we need. So, but we need to actually maximize and ensure that we eat well, sleep well, for more productivity. So, on behalf of the Center Commander and management, entire management and fraternity of the FFBS, so on behalf of the Center Commander and the entire family of the FFBS 2.1 Lagos, I want to thank exceptionally the virtual facilitators and the physical one, because I know we have some personalities in this lecture, and we have the physical entity standing here to interpret more on what they have been able to state. So I want to thank this line, first of all, in the name of the organization. I want to thank Fireground Forerunner Bible School for counting its work to come here this day to bless us with this wonderful and insightful workshop. And among the things, Miss Mokisola Ojo, that's one of the virtual presenters. Please, a round of applause for I want to be like a lead team here today. Now, as a lead team, and our team is, we have Mrs. Aneta Sally. So one of the virtual presenters. Please, a round of applause right and here as we send it out together. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Aneta Sally. Really enjoyed this wonderful session with you. Another round of applause for Mrs. Abisola Pasu. Okay, Mr. Abisola Pasu, you can see the team of FFBS officials here sending you a thunderous round of applause for this wonderful program. So we have again in this team, Mrs. Tayo Akimola, one of the virtual presenters, Mrs. Tayo Akimola. We send our greetings to you from our 2.2 and 2.1 Lagos of the Federal City Hall. And we have Mrs. Chairman of the one of the virtual presenters too. We send our greetings to you, Mrs. Just a round of applause for Mrs. Chairman of the And also we have Mrs. Mokisola Onelade, another wonderful presenter, a virtual presenter. And we send our greetings to you. A round of applause, please. from Mrs. Sola. And we have Mrs. Ronke Adebatu. Mrs. Ronke Adebatu, you can see the team of FRSC. We have been blessed today, and we are saying back to you a thunderous round of applause in appreciation for this wonderful session. Please let's come back to her. So we have Mrs. Victoria Yahaya, another wonderful budget presenter up there. Please a round of applause for Mrs. Yahaya. We have Mrs. Susie Adeshimo. That's one of our virtual physical team present here with us. Mrs. Susie Adeshimo, we appreciate your presence, and we actually want to see more of you in the nearest future. And lastly, I think the only man among the female, the person of Mr. Daniel Joe. Please, a lot of applause for Mr. Daniel. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate you. I want to keep this presentation here because it will be translated to higher authority at the headquarters level. And we are going to appreciate you more. Thank you very much. And we wish you safe journey back to the destination. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Yaya, and thank you for your warm reception. Now we come to the end of the training. I hope you guys had a nice time, and we trust God that after today, we will see, well, you've always been great, but we'll see greater way of discharging your duties out there, and we are also going to translate these to your other colleagues that have not been able to be part of this training. Thank you very much for having us. Enjoy the rest of the day. Bye.